What is going on, Pacer Nation? And welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice Pacers. Well, guys, I wanted to kind of talk about the Pacers right now. So the Indiana Pacers through 11 games, not great. The Pacers are 1-10 so far. They've had a few opportunities, but the Indiana Pacers have not been able to win a ton of games here to start the 2025 season. So I kind of wanted to talk about the Indiana Pacers so far, kind of look at them a little bit overall, and then look to the future for the Indiana Pacers as well. So there's a whole lot here when it comes to the Indiana Pacers that I want to get to, but I think you have to start with just the injuries the Indiana Pacers have had. I mean, it's actually been insane how many injuries the Indiana Pacers have. It's kind of wild when you kind of consider all the different players who have been injured this year. I mean, we knew Tyrese Halliburton was going to miss the 2025 season, but my goodness, when you look a little bit further, there's so many guys who are injured right now. We know we've talked about it with how many guys are injured for the Indiana Pacers. I mean, you got Andrew Nembhard back just a couple games ago. He's been balling out for the Pacers. But, I mean, you're just missing so many players right now, so many guards in particular, and also you're missing players like Obi Toppin and a few other guys as well that really have been key pieces to this Pacer team in the past. And so it's just kind of this weird sort of situation where it's hard to fully gauge where the Pacers are as a team just because of all the sheer amount of injuries they have had. And I truly believe when the Pacers are healthy, they're a lot better of a basketball team than that 1-10 record would indicate right now. So a little bit of stats to back this up. I just don't want you guys to take my word for it. This is according to our friend Alex Golden, who we've had on the Pacers before. So the Indiana Pacers, this was on November 11th, mind you. So this was before their last game. But he said record 1-9, a combined 58 games missed due to injury, 174 different five-man lineups, 30th in field goal percentage, 29th in three-point percentage, 27th in free throw percentage, 30th in offensive rating, 29th in assists, 5th in offensive rebound, 5th in defensive rebound, and 1st in rebound, which is kind of crazy because rebounds have definitely been something that the Pacers have struggled with in the past. But it's kind of crazy that the Pacers actually are not doing too bad in that category, but everything else is definitely not going well for the Indiana Pacers. So it's definitely crazy, guys, how much the Pacers have just dealt with different lineups. I mean, there's so many different lineups the Pacers have had to deal with this year. It's actually kind of insane when you think about it. But like Alex had put, the Pacers haven't been particularly great on the offensive end of the ball either, or on either side of the ball, really, offense or defensive side of the ball. The defense has definitely struggled as well. So there's just a lot of things going on here with the Indiana Pacers, right? And like I said, you're getting Andrew Nembhard back the last couple games. He's definitely been balling out when he's, been on the court. But it just feels like it's been Andrew Nembhard and, Pascal Siakam, and really that's about it. I mean, Jarace Walker a little bit. Like I said, Matherin's been injured. Even some of the other guards that you've have had their fair share of injuries. It's actually been kind of wild how many injuries you have faced at that guard positions in particular. But yeah, when you kind of look at this, guys, I mean, you're losing two guys that were part of your championship team last year for the season, for the 2026 season. Obviously, Miles Turner, is in Milwaukee, and then obviously Tyrese Halliburton is out for the year. So two key guys there, and then some of the other key guys that helped you make the run last year have been injured as well. So it's just kind of been really just a cluster of a lot of different issues with this team, with the different lineups, just the inconsistencies at times. I do believe that Rick Carlisle, when this team is healthy, will get them right. But there are just so many young and unproven guys that have had to step up in a lot of ways this year for the Indiana Pacers. It's kind of wild how many guys have had to do that for the Pacers. So all that stuff has happened to lead to the Indiana Pacers 1-10 record so far, with obviously a game tonight. We'll have to see how that goes. But obviously, all that to say, it hasn't been a great start for the Indiana Pacers, right? And when you look ahead, obviously, it's a long season, right? The Pacers still have a long way to go. They could easily turn this around. But if this does continue with the injuries, the inconsistent play, and things like that, the Indiana Pacers might find themselves with an opportunity to have a top 5 pick. I mean, honestly, with the record they have, obviously the lottery, you never fully know. But the Pacers have an opportunity here. If they continue to struggle and they continue to have one of the worst records in the NBA this year, they have an opportunity because remember, they did get back and they did reacquire that first round pick they had for the New Orleans Pelicans in the draft this year. So that is definitely a good thing. And I think the Pacers were thinking ahead there, and a great move there by Kevin Pritchard and company in acquiring that pick back, because that could become a very valuable pick for the Indiana Pacers if indeed they continue to struggle, right? And there are a ton of players that I think really will help this Indiana squad. If the Pacers are picking top 5, top 3, even number 1, there's a great opportunity here for the Pacers to get some players that can really help them. You know, some of the guys that people have talked about for the Indiana Pacers, AJ DeBensa from BYU, the small forward, the freshman. A lot of people saying, man, he is pretty much the consensus number 1 pick. You know, he would just be huge for this Pacers team. He's got that rare combination of size, power, and all that sort of stuff, athleticism, all that stuff that the Pacers would obviously covet and love to have a part of their roster. That's one name for sure that people have thrown around there. Cameron Boozer, the power forward from Duke, is another name that a lot of people have thrown around there for the Indiana Pacers, and especially with how many centers the Pacers have used this year. And also with Pascal Siakam, you know, in his 30s, maybe that's a move the Indiana Pacers decide to make there for sure. And we'll just kind of have to see exactly what happens there. But big man Cameron Boozer would be a name there that people have thrown around as well. Nate Ament from Tennessee, another big guy, another big man. The Indiana Pacers, depending where they pick, could be available for them there. And that's just a couple names. There's other players as well. Those are some of the big ones that people have thrown around from a small to power forward / center sort of, you know, thing there for the Indiana Pacers. Some prospects there that could fit them. But obviously it is a long season, so we'll just have to see what the Indiana Pacers decide to do. But you think if you're the Indiana Pacers, you anticipate getting Tyrese Halliburton back next year, you pair him with potentially a top 5, top 3 pick. That's sounding pretty good. And I think a lot of Pacers fans, honestly, you never want to root for your team to lose, but if there's any year to do it, it's when your superstar is out for the year and you're just trying to figure some things out. It's given some looks to some of these young guys, although some of the young guys have still been injured as well. And also, you know, you're getting an opportunity to potentially get a very, very valuable player there early on in the 2026 draft. So all that to say, right now, not been great for the Indiana Pacers, but if you're looking forward at something to look forward to as Pacers fans, that could be something if the Pacers continue to struggle. There could be an opportunity there for Indiana to potentially acquire one of the top prospects in the 2026 NBA draft. But I'm curious what you guys think when it comes to this. Right now, like I said, not looking great for the Indiana Pacers, but there's still a lot of basketball to be played, and then we'll have to go from there. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hey, guys, do me a huge favor also. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn on that notification bell. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Pacers.